When I started at Medway, which was about 2 years ago, and Cheryl Lee had just also started as the HR director, we very quickly recognised that the setup of HR and the things that we were doing were not making a big enough contribution to the organisational goals, and primarily the organisational goals in an NHS organisation are about improving safety for the services that patients receive. It's about improving the quality of the services, and it's also about improving the patient experience as well. And it was clear that the activities that HR were carrying out were focused on the transactional services, on employee relations. There had been good work done on leadership development and other organisational development programmes, but we felt that that hadn't been given the priority that was needed. So there was a real need, we felt, to completely change the way that HR was delivered from a good basis, but we needed to up the performance. We had a number of sessions with different people in the organisation and within HR, where we identified the key elements of the organisational strategy, the things that I mentioned already about the key priorities of patient safety and patient experience and quality of services. And we identified the key activities that the people in the organisation needed to be concentrating on to deliver those. But we also knew that to position ourselves to do that, we had to get our transactional services working as well as they possibly could. And we also knew that before we were really in a position to succeed in developing the capability of the organisation, we had to sort our act out, because like many HR departments, we had a reputation for not being very good at what we did, more of a hindrance than a solution. So there was a lot of focus on improving the processes and the quality of the transactional service in the early days. The sort of difficulties that we had with changing the transactional service was that we were asking people to work in a completely different way. There'd been a long history of, if we take recruitment services for example, operating in a certain way that suited the individuals that worked in the team at that time. And they were doing by and large a good job, but not to the standard that we really needed of them. So we had to make changes in all the different aspects of the transactional service, move people into different jobs, ask them to perform in a very different way. And as often happens when you make these transformations, there is a dip in the quality of service as you start to make the changes. And unfortunately for us, the dip was deeper than we would have wanted, and we got ourselves into a real reputational issue for a period of time. And I, for around 3 months, spent the majority of my time getting all of the HR transactional services, but particularly recruitment, working to the level that we needed. And thanks to the efforts of the staff in there, that has succeeded and is working very well now. The other difficulty that we had was with the acceptance of some parts of the trust of the need for change. And to understand and accept what it was that we were trying to do. So again, I spent a lot of time on PR effectively, listening to people's concerns and trying to sell what we were doing. And actually the thing that sells it best is for the service to perform to the high standard. And now that we're there or thereabouts, I think people understand why we did what we did. A variety of different methods, and I think if we were being honest with ourselves, and if I'm being honest with myself, I was probably guilty in the early stages of being too directive in the approach. But quickly we realised that we needed to get far more involvement of the team in making the changes, and also moving some people around into different jobs, and some people left the organisation as well. So the early mistakes in the change management process were around not involving people, not exciting them enough about what it was that we were trying to do. And so latterly, there was a lot of my time and effort went into working with the team and getting the team to get excited about what we were doing. And now the team are the biggest proponents of what we do. The core offering that HR has is not really about the transactional service. That's important, but really the core offering, the thing that impacts on organisational performance the most, is on driving up the capability of people to deliver organisational goals. First thing is, don't underestimate how difficult it is. That's not to say don't do it. Of course, it has to be done, but we would have benefited from considerably more planning, considerably more consideration of the change management process, and really working harder at getting not only the HR staff on board early, but also the rest of the trust. I think that's a real lesson. I think a wider lesson for the organisation is about how the jobs of managers, and particularly the jobs of the more senior managers in the NHS, which are almost exclusively operationally focused. And I think the situation that we've got ourselves into now at Medway is that HR is acting quite strategically, but the operational management is very operational and not strategic enough. And I think the next job at Medway is to up the strategic process and thinking for our operational management.